Time is either your greatest asset or your deadliest assassin. And the tragedy is that most people hand it the weapon themselves. They don't even realize it. They wake up each day, assuming there will be 1,000 more just like it, assuming that the fire within them can be delayed until someday. But someday is a silent grave, where dreams are buried and never mourned. Every tick of the clock is a breath you will never reclaim. While you hesitate, while you scroll, while you rehearse your fears, somewhere out there, someone else is moving. They are making the call, closing the deal, stepping into the arena while you wait for courage to find you. Time does not negotiate. Time does not slow for your excuses, your fear, or even your potential. It moves forward, indifferent and unmoved, and if you do not rise to meet it with equal force, you will be buried under the weight of everything you could have become. Napoleon Hill once wrote with sobering clarity, "Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve." But notice, it does not say, "Whatever the mind delays, doubts, and procrastinates over." It says believe and act. So hear me clearly. This is not a talk of comfort. This is a call to arms, a call to awaken the warrior inside you that already knows. The clock is ticking. Your time is now. There is a brutal truth that many refuse to face, a truth so uncomfortable that most spend their entire lives running from it, hiding behind distractions, excuses, and the soft illusions of endless tomorrows. But whether you acknowledge it or not, it stands unchanging. Time is not your friend. Unless you rise to command it, unless you learn to harness it with ruthless discipline, it will consume you without mercy. Every second you spend in hesitation is a second lost forever, buried in the sands of time, unrecoverable by any force on earth. You may tell yourself you are being wise, cautious, prudent. You may wrap your delays in the language of logic. But wisdom without action is wasted breath. Prudence without movement is paralysis in disguise. Those who succeed in this life are not always the most brilliant minds. They are not always the most gifted or the most connected. They are, very simply, the ones who move. The ones who step forward while others rehearse. The ones who dare while others deliberate. They are the souls who understand a truth many never grasp, that hesitation is a luxury they cannot afford. For while you think, someone else is doing. While you plan, someone else is building. While you doubt, someone else is believing with action in their hands and conviction in their steps. The seconds are not patient. They do not pause while you debate your worth. They do not slow down because your fear feels overwhelming. They march on, steady, ruthless, relentless, and they do not look back. And so must you. Because time will not slow to comfort your fear. It will not freeze while you find your confidence. It will not give you space to indulge your hesitation. It demands you rise now, with trembling knees if necessary, with a pounding heart if required, but rise nonetheless. There is no someday. There is only today, slipping through your fingers even as you hesitate. Understand this, the clock is not your enemy. It is your mirror. It reflects moment by moment whether you are building your future or burying it. It shows no favoritism, no mercy, and no apology. It simply reveals the choices you make with every breath you are given. You cannot bargain with time. You cannot ask it for a second chance once it is gone. You cannot plead for one more day when the final tick sounds. You only have now, sharp, fierce, uncompromisingly real. The men and women who leave their mark on this world are not those who were granted more hours. They are those who treated every hour like a blade, cutting through doubt, carving through fear, forging their legacy stroke by relentless stroke. Every dream you delay because of fear, every opportunity you postpone because of hesitation, will one day look back at you not with anger, but with silence. Because lost time does not rage. It simply ceases to exist. Your potential is a flame, but it needs the oxygen of action. Without it, it withers. Without urgency, it suffocates beneath the weight of what could have been. And urgency does not mean panic. It does not mean chaos. It means clarity. Fierce, focused, unapologetic clarity about what matters and what must be done. It is living each day with the sobering awareness that the clock is ticking, not against you, but against your excuses. It is choosing to move, even when you are afraid. It is refusing to let fear become a thief that steals your destiny while you sleep. You must live, not as though you have endless tomorrows, but as though today is your only guarantee. Because in the end, it is. The tragedy of most lives is not that they aimed too high and missed. It is that they aimed too low and hit. It is that they mistook the gift of time for an infinite resource and spent it on things that never truly mattered. Comfort, distraction, approval. But not you. You are called to more. You are called to rise while others wait, to move while others stall, to live fiercely, fully, and intentionally. Not someday, but now. Because every second you waste is not just a lost moment, it is a lost becoming. It is a version of yourself you will never meet, a future you will never live, a greatness the world will never know. And that is a cost too great to pay. So, do not stand at the edge of your potential waiting for the perfect moment. It will not come. Create it. Seize it. Own it. Because while you wait, life moves. And while you hesitate, destiny passes by. The seconds are not patient. They do not pause while you wonder if you are worthy. They march, steady, ruthless, unstoppable. And so must you. Now, let us step into the next truth, one that cuts even deeper. For it is not enough to simply move. You must move with the right heart, the right urgency, and the right clarity. The clock keeps ticking, but how you spend these moments next will define everything. There is a lie the world sells you, whispered softly enough that most never realize it until it's too late. The lie that says you must feel ready before you act, that you must wait until the mood is right, until the stars align, until the fear subsides and confidence floods your veins. They tell you to be patient for the day you wake up, bold, unstoppable, fearless. But that day, it rarely comes. And if it ever does, it is not the beginning. It is the reward for those who moved long before they felt ready. The ones who win, the ones who leave footprints where others barely leave a whisper, are not the ones who waited. They are the ones who moved, trembling if necessary, uncertain if necessary, doubting themselves, but moving anyway. They understood something most never grasp, that waiting is not preparation. It is erosion. It wears away your spirit, your vision, your will, until one day you are no longer standing at the edge of your dreams, but at the grave of them. Movement is the cure. Action is the antidote to fear. Every single step forward, even the smallest, even the shakiest, chips away at the towering mountain of doubt. Every deliberate act, every stubborn move made against the current of fear, starves that inner voice that says you are not enough. It weakens it. With every breath you refuse to surrender. It silences it, not through grand declarations, but through quiet, persistent defiance. You cannot think your way into courage. You cannot journal your way into boldness. You cannot meditate your way into certainty. At some point, you must move. You must act. You must step onto the field while your hands still tremble, while your voice still shakes, while your mind still screams for retreat. Waiting is the silent assassin of dreams. It does not stab with a loud blow. It poisons quietly, drip by drip, until one day you wake up and realize the passion you once carried has grown cold. The future you once envisioned has faded into a dull ache of what might have been. Motion, on the other hand, breathes life into everything it touches. It brings oxygen to fire. It awakens dead dreams. It turns ideas into impact. It is not perfection that transforms lives. It is movement. Imperfect, messy, unglamorous movement. It is the willingness to stumble, to fail, to look foolish if necessary, all in the name of becoming. And especially when you are unsure, that is when you must move the most. When your mind demands another day, another excuse, another postponement, that is the moment to rebel against it, to teach your own soul who commands it, to prove to yourself that you are not a slave to fleeting feelings. Because the truth is, emotions are terrible masters. They are inconsistent, fickle, unreliable. If you wait for motivation, you will live your entire life standing still, wondering why the years pass but your dreams remain untouched. Motivation is a spark, but it is not the fire. Action is the fire. Commitment is the fire. Grit is the fire. And fires do not wait for the sun to rise to burn. They burn because they choose to. Understand this: courage is not the absence of fear. It is the presence of action in spite of fear. It is moving forward when fear screams louder than logic. It is choosing again and again to rise, to risk, to reach when every comfort inside you begs you to stay small. You were not made for passivity. You were not made for endless preparation and perfect conditions. You were made to move mountains. And mountains do not move for the cautious. They move for the courageous. Every great life you admire was built not on moments of overwhelming confidence, but on relentless acts of courage in the absence of it. Those who build legacies, who reshape their worlds, who carve out impossible victories, are not the ones who felt ready. They are the ones who moved anyway. And so must you. Do not wait another hour to start living with urgency. Do not allow another sunrise to pass without planting seeds toward your vision. Do not give another breath to the seductive lie that someday you will feel ready. You will feel ready only after you have already proven you can survive the battlefield of uncertainty. You will feel strong only after you have walked through weakness. You will feel unstoppable only after you have learned to move when everything in you wanted to freeze. There is no easy path, no shortcut to the summit, no magic moment when every fear vanishes and every door swings open. There is only movement, one trembling step at a time, one act of defiance against fear, one silent promise to yourself, repeated until the noise of doubt is drowned out by the roar of your momentum. Move now. Move while you doubt. Move while you are afraid. Move while the world is still asleep and your dreams are still whispering your name in the dark. Because those who move are the ones who wake to find that the world and their destiny has been reshaped by the simple, stubborn power of their unwillingness to wait. And from that movement, from that sacred rebellion against hesitation, comes the life you were born to live. And so the journey continues, from the battlefield of your mind to the discipline of your days, where urgency must meet strategy and fire must be forged into focus. Do not mistake urgency for anxiety. They may wear the same face to the untrained eye, but they are worlds apart in spirit. Urgency is not the frenzied sprint of a man running from loss. It is the slow, steady fire of a soul that knows, truly knows, that time is precious beyond measure. It is the deliberate pace of the craftsman who lays every stone with reverence, understanding that each hour, each strike of the hammer, is shaping his destiny. Urgency is not chaos, it is clarity. It is not frantic, it is focused. The man who lives with urgency is not ruled by panic. He is ruled by purpose. Every morning, he wakes knowing that the clock did not reset for him. It continued its steady march through the night, indifferent to his wishes, unmoved by his fears. And so he moves, he acts. Not because he is desperate, but because he is determined. Not because he fears failure, but because he refuses to die wondering what could have been. Urgency says, I will not wait for the world to grant me permission. I will not drift with the tides of distraction. I will not hand my dreams over to the randomness of chance. Because delay is not neutral. Delay is death by erosion. Every hour you postpone your calling, fear grows deeper roots in your mind. Every time you hesitate, the soil of your spirit hardens, and the seeds of greatness struggle to take root. Regret is heavier than failure. It weighs on the heart like chains forged from missed chances, from moments surrendered to fear. And while failure wounds, regret imprisons. It gnaws at the soul, long after opportunities have withered away into dust. The cost of waiting is not just lost time, it is lost self. Your future is not promised. The breath in your lungs right now is the only contract you have been given. but the power to act today, that is still yours. That is the tool you have been entrusted with. That is the sword still resting in your hand, and every second you hold it without striking is a second you allow your potential to be stolen by doubt. Understand this: urgency is sacred. It is not an enemy of peace. It is the protector of purpose. It is the silent understanding that we are given a limited number of days, and every one we waste is a betrayal of the life we could have built. Move with urgency, not because you fear running out of time, but because you honor the time you have been given. And yet, even with urgency burning in your chest, there is another enemy lurking quietly, a far more seductive one: the lie of perfection. And if urgency is the fire that forges greatness, perfectionism is the poison that paralyzes it. Perfectionism is a coward in a clever disguise. It dresses itself as wisdom, as excellence, as high standards. It whispers that you must have all the answers before you move, that you must be flawless before you begin, that you must polish yourself until you shine like the sun before you dare step into the arena. But perfection is a liar, a thief. It delays the race until the prize has long been taken by someone brave enough to start without it. Greatness does not belong to the perfect. It belongs to the persistent. It belongs to the ones who dared to build while their hands still trembled, to those who dared to leap while their knees still shook, to those who were willing to stumble, willing to bleed, willing to rise, 1,000 times if necessary, while others stood polishing their excuses until they rusted into regret. You will never have all the answers before you begin. You will never be fully ready. You will never eliminate all fear, all uncertainty, all doubt. The question is not whether you will be afraid. It is whether you will move anyway. Start before you are ready. Build while you learn. Patch the wings mid-flight if you must. Fly anyway. Because no mountain was ever climbed by a man who stood at its base waiting to feel strong enough. No ocean was ever crossed by a captain who waited for the perfect wind. No destiny was ever seized by the one who waited until it was convenient. Progress is built in motion. Mastery is born in movement. Excellence is shaped by action, refined through failure, polished through persistence. You become by doing, not by waiting. Every day you delay, perfection wins a battle against your destiny. Every excuse you craft strengthens the chains that bind your potential. But every imperfect step forward, every clumsy act of courage, every rough, raw attempt to create something bigger than yourself, these are the blows that crack open the door to the life you were born to live. Do not insult your calling by waiting until you feel worthy of it. Worthiness is not a feeling, it is a choice. It is a decision to rise, to act, to become, through doing. The more you act, the more you believe. The more you believe, the more you act. It is a cycle of transformation that begins not with certainty, but with the willingness to move forward without it. You were not called to live a life of hesitation. You were not designed to die with your dreams still trapped inside your bones. The time for waiting has passed. The time for doubting is over. Now is the time for action, imperfect, relentless, courageous action. Because the world does not need another dream deferred. It needs a builder. It needs you. And if you listen carefully enough, you will hear the echo rising. From the urgency in your chest, to the trembling in your hands, to the stirring deep in your soul. Move, because your future is waiting, but it will not wait forever. Every excuse you make is a link in a chain you wrap around your own future. It doesn't matter what name you give it. Reason, rationalization, caution. A chain is a chain, no matter how polished it looks. No matter how soft the words you use to justify it. Every excuse is a choice to bind yourself to the small life when a greater one was always within reach. The tragedy is that most people don't see it happening. They believe their excuses are wisdom. They believe they are being reasonable. They believe they are protecting themselves. But protection at the cost of potential is nothing but slow, silent destruction. It's not a shield, it's a prison. The people who achieve extraordinary things are not the ones who were born into easier circumstances. They are not the ones who had fewer storms to walk through. They are the ones who simply refused to let the storm be their excuse. They are the ones who chose, day after hard day, to move forward anyway. They stood face to face with the same fears, the same doubts, the same obstacles that stop so many. But they did not let them become justifications for retreat. Excuses are seductive because they offer comfort. They whisper that it's okay to wait. They soothe the sting of failure by promising that it wasn't your fault. They tell you that you tried your best, even when deep down, you know you didn't. Excuses are easy, but they are fatal. They do not wound you quickly. They kill you slowly. They steal your strength a little at a time until one day you wake up and realize the years have slipped away, and all that's left is a hollow memory of who you could have been. Choose instead to forge reasons why you must, not reasons why you can't. Choose responsibility, not refuge. Choose ownership, not victimhood. Choose freedom over comfort. Choose the harder path, because the harder path is the path to life. Napoleon Hill once wrote, "A quitter never wins, and a winner never quits." Let that truth settle deep into your bones. Let it become the answer you speak back to every excuse that dares to rise within you. When fear tells you to slow down, you answer with movement. When doubt tells you to stop, you answer with discipline. When comfort tells you to retreat, you answer with courage. Because excuses only have power when you agree with them. When you refuse to agree, when you refuse to give them a home in your mind, they wither, they lose their voice, they lose their grip, and in their place, something stronger begins to grow, the foundation of a mind that cannot be conquered. But even when you silence the excuses, there will be days when your emotions try to pull you off course, days when your feelings betray you, when motivation runs dry, when the road ahead feels longer than your courage feels strong. And in those moments, there is only one bridge that can carry you across: the bridge of discipline. Emotion is a wild horse, beautiful, powerful, but erratic. Without reins, it will pull you into ditches, into distractions, into disasters. But discipline is the reins. Discipline is the hand on the bridle that says, we move forward anyway. We do what is necessary, not what is easy. We stay the course, not because we feel like it, but because we said we would. Discipline does not ask, do I feel like it today? Discipline says, this is who I am, and therefore, this is what I do. There will be days you do not feel strong, days when fear roars louder than your dreams, days when the path ahead looks steep and dark and unforgiving. Discipline does not erase the difficulty. It does not make the road easier, but it gives you the strength to walk it anyway. It is not talent that separates the great from the forgotten. It is not luck. It is not even passion. It is the daily decision to act with discipline, especially when passion fades, especially when the heart grows weary, especially when no one else is watching. Discipline is a choice, not made once, but made again and again until it becomes your second nature, until it becomes the unconscious rhythm of your life, until one day you look back and realize you have become the kind of person others admire, not because you were lucky, not because you were favored, but because you were faithful. Discipline is not the enemy of freedom, it is its birthplace. Because when you can master yourself, when you can command your mind and your habits, you are no longer a slave to circumstance. You are no longer a prisoner of mood. You are no longer tossed and broken by every storm that crosses your path. You stand like a mountain. You endure like a river. You rise like the dawn. And from that place of inner mastery, every dream becomes reachable. Every battle becomes winnable. Every life, no matter how ordinary it once seemed, becomes extraordinary. So let today be the day you draw a line in the sand. No more waiting. No more excuses. No more surrender to feelings that change like the wind. From this moment forward, you move with discipline. You act with discipline. You live with discipline. Because the future you dream of is waiting, and discipline is the only bridge that will carry you there. The world sees the results, the medals, the awards, the celebrations. They see the raised arms, the victory speeches, the smiles captured in photographs. But what they never see, what they never understand unless they have walked that road themselves, is where that strength was truly forged. It was not built in moments of triumph. It was not shaped under the warm lights of applause. No, it was built in the cold, lonely silence. It was built on the mornings when no one clapped, when the alarm clock screamed and every fiber of the body begged to stay in the comfort of sleep. It was built on the nights when no one was watching, when quitting would have been easy, acceptable even. It was in those hidden battles that willpower was carved out of weakness, where perseverance was chiseled out of mediocrity, where character was hammered into steel. Do not seek applause, seek mastery. Mastery of yourself. Seek the ability to command your will when the world has gone silent, because the real victories are not celebrated with trophies. They are celebrated in the quiet knowing that you did not yield, that you did not surrender to the easier path when no one would have blamed you if you had. Applause, when it finally comes, will mean little. You will nod, you will smile, but you will not be defined by it, because long before anyone noticed, you had already won where it mattered most, within. The world may cheer the results, but your soul will know the real battle was won in the unseen hours. And from that place of quiet strength, you will walk differently. You will not move for recognition. You will not rise for validation. You will move because it is who you have become. That kind of fire cannot be extinguished by criticism, nor inflated by praise. It simply burns, steady, fierce, unstoppable. But there is another truth that must walk beside this one, a truth even harsher, even heavier, if you have the courage to hear it. Time will not forgive. The clock does not apologize. It does not weep for the minutes you wasted scrolling, doubting, fearing. It does not slow down for your regrets. It does not offer you a second chance at today. It marches on, steady and ruthless, indifferent to your dreams, unmoved by your excuses. The cost of delay is not just lost opportunity, it is lost becoming. It is a future version of yourself, stronger, wiser, fuller, that you will never meet. It is victories you will never taste, mountains you will never climb, songs you will never sing, because you traded them for a little more fear, a little more comfort, a little more waiting. And that is a cost too great to pay. Every minute you waste is a version of yourself slipping further away. Every hour spent doubting is a future shrinking into nothingness. Every day you spend postponing your greatness is a day you dig deeper into the grave of mediocrity. Understand this: you are spending the currency of your existence every second. You are either investing it toward the life you were born to build, or you are bleeding it into the soil of regret. There is no neutral ground. Every tick of the clock is a decision. Every breath is a contract with your future. Spend it well. Spend it on something that will make you proud. Spend it on actions that echo through eternity. Spend it on a life that, when you finally stand at the end of your days, you can meet with eyes clear and head high, knowing you lived fully, fiercely, without apology. You must live with the awareness that today is not a rehearsal. This moment is not a trial run. It is the only shot you get at this hour, at this opportunity, at this chance to stretch toward your potential. Napoleon Hill once said, "Do not wait. The time will never be just right." That is not a suggestion, it is a warning. A warning against the seduction of later, a warning against the delusion of infinite tomorrows. Because someday is a lie, and later is a thief. There is only now. There is only this breath, this heartbeat, this window of opportunity that demands your courage, your action, your sacrifice. So rise with urgency, move with purpose. Live today as if it carries the weight of 1,000 tomorrows, because in truth, it does. And from this foundation of fierce awareness, we move forward. Because even heavier truths await. Truths about the cost of inaction, the silent killers of dreams, and the unstoppable force that belongs to those who refuse to waste another breath. Let us press on, because the next step demands not just movement, but mastery. You may think that playing it safe protects you, that staying small shields you from pain, that modest dreams are a form of self-preservation. But the opposite is true. It is not risk that brings the deepest wounds. It is timidity. It is hesitation. It is a life spent tiptoeing so carefully around fear that you never touch your destiny. Playing small guarantees pain, not the pain of failure, which at least proves you fought, but the sharper, colder pain of regret. The pain of standing at the end of your days and realizing that the fire that once burned in you was never unleashed, never fully lived, never fully seen, that you never even tried to see how high you could soar. And let me tell you, that pain is merciless. It will visit you in your quiet hours. It will haunt you when the world is still. It will whisper, again and again, "You could have been more." You were not made for smallness. Your soul was not designed for a life of soft mediocrity and whispered ambitions. You were built for greatness, built for impact, built for fire, built to set the world ablaze with the gifts you carry within you. The world does not need your caution. It does not need another soul tiptoeing carefully around its own potential. It needs your courage. It needs your full flame, not your flicker. You may think your playing small serves some twisted form of humility. It does not. It serves fear, and fear deserves no throne in the house where greatness was meant to reign. There is no safety in shrinking, only the slow death of dreams stillborn. There is no security in silence, only the erosion of a voice that was meant to roar across generations. The only true safety is found in boldness, in movement, in living so fully that, even if you fall forward into the life you were born to live. Because, listen carefully, the real risk was never in trying. It was always in not trying. And so, if today you feel that pull, that ache, that sense that there is more in you than you have dared to show the world, that is not an illusion. That is truth knocking on the door of your soul. Answer it. Answer it with a fierce, unshakable decision that you will no longer play small. And from that decision must flow another. Because while rejecting smallness is where the fire is lit, walking into your true destiny demands something even greater: boldness. Life will offer you 1,000 chances to settle, 1,000 invitations to make peace with mediocrity, 1,000 subtle betrayals of the call burning in your bones, each one disguised as comfort, security, logic, each one whispering, "Stay here, stay safe, stay small." You must refuse them all. You must choose boldness, choose the path where fear and excitement intertwine into something electric and holy. Choose the road where your knees tremble, your heart races, but your soul sings a song that says, "This is the way." Because that road, the one that terrifies you, is the only one worth walking. It is not the easy path. It is not the guaranteed path, but it is the path where you become who you were created to be. It is the road that stretches your muscles, sharpens your mind, and forges your spirit into something unbreakable. There will be days on that path when you feel alone, when the voices of doubt shout louder than the whispers of destiny, when you wonder if the struggle is worth it, when the temptation to turn back feels overwhelming. Hold your ground. Remember why you began. Remember the fire that led you here. Remember that boldness is not the absence of fear. It is the refusal to be ruled by it. Napoleon Hill's voice still rings through the corridors of history. Faith removes limitations, not fear, not doubt. Faith. Faith that moves mountains. Faith that steps out onto waters still unbroken. Faith that acts when the mind still trembles. Faith that says, "I do not need to see the whole staircase. I only need to take the first step." Boldness, fueled by faith, does not ask for guarantees. It does not wait for applause. It does not beg for permission. It moves. It acts. It builds. It endures. And as you choose boldness again and again, something extraordinary happens. The world begins to move around you. Doors that seemed locked begin to swing open. Allies begin to appear. Strength you did not know you possessed begins to rise from the depths of you. Not because the world got easier, but because you got stronger. You realize that the destiny you thought was so far away was only ever waiting for one thing: your bold, faithful action. So today, choose it again. Choose it even if your hands shake. Choose it even if your voice trembles. Choose it because the world needs the version of you that has been waiting in silence, waiting for you to rise, to roar, to claim the life you were always meant to live. And from this ground of boldness and faith, we will take the final step, the crowning truth that ties it all together. For if you dare to believe it, your entire future will ignite. And so we return to the beginning. Time is moving, relentless, indifferent, unstoppable. It does not slow for the fearful, it does not pity the hesitant, it honors only the bold. The question is not, do you have enough time? The question is, will you have the courage to use the time you have been given? You stand today at the crossroads. On one side, regret, delay, smallness. On the other, action, faith, legacy. You already know the path you must take. To rise, move, burn. Let the world see the fire you were born to carry, and let history remember that when time came calling, you answered with all the strength your soul could muster. Because greatness was never waiting on the clock. It was waiting on you